Developing news back here in Washington, because in just the last hour, we've been looking at this vote in which lawmakers in the Senate were trying to pass a bill that would require the president to get the green light from Congress before more strikes against Iran. That bill has now failed, and that vote is closed. That's a done deal. Julie Sirkin is on the Hill. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah, Hallie, as we talked about last hour, this was pretty pre-baked. I say that because we knew that only one Democrat, Senator John Fetterman, was prepared to vote with Republicans against the War Powers Resolution, and only one Republican, Senator Rand Paul, voted with Democrats for it. Now, what this War Powers Resolution does, as we talked about, is essentially if it passed, and if it passed in the House, and if there was a veto-proof majority, it would restrain the president's future military action in Iran. But that is not going anywhere. There's a House vote expected tomorrow. Speaker Johnson told me this morning that he feels pretty good about his members being able to defeat it, but that doesn't mean there aren't concerns. And so that's why, as I said last hour, Hallie, it's important to talk about a potential funding request coming from the administration. We're hearing that the White House plans to ask Congress for more money to fund their operations in Iran. The longer that it takes, the more I think Republicans even will start to lose their patience when it comes to boots on the ground, potentially something the administration hasn't taken off the table. When it comes to a rise in casualties, potentially something President Trump previewed himself, that is when I think you're going to start to see Republicans, at least some of them, start to get a little bit more uncomfortable, especially since we are months away from midterm elections. And certainly this is going to be something the Democrats try to use against them politically. And so this is a moment that we find ourselves in which I think we're just beginning to see how Congress is trying to respond to this effort. It's not the end of the road there. Of course, though, as these operations go on, we're seeing Congress become more and more irrelevant and sort of ceding that power to the executive branch, which is exactly why Democrats are pushing those votes to begin with, Hallie.
And just to be clear, Jules, as you make the point here, not signs of much daylight between the majority of the Republican conference here and President Trump, right?
Not at this point. They're so far extremely supportive of what the administration is doing here. But I do think it's going to become a more interesting question depending on how long this is going to go. It was a very open-ended answer that members of Congress received in their classified briefings, Hallie.
Julie Sirkin, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.